Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I thought it would be pretty interesting to finally go over some more tier list stuff, and specifically in this one I wanted to go over the run and gun enemy tier list. Yes, might have started this channel on making a tier list, and I didn't really want to bank on that being the content of this channel, but I think enough time has passed where I kind of want to give my fair shot at what I think about really most things in Cuphead, including, even though it's a little bit, who cares, right? Let's go over the enemies, the running guns, why not, right? Because I think there's some enemies, or honestly most enemies, are not really that hard. You don't really have to do much, but there are a very select few where I want to freaking pull my hair out every single time I have to go against them. And if you've watched any of my content, or sorry, if you've watched any of my streams, or if you've watched some of my content, you might already know where some of these placements are, and some of them are just more obvious than others. But nonetheless, I still wanted to go over what I genuinely think these enemies sit on the tier list. So let's go over that real quick. Might as well not exist. It's pretty much self-explanatory. These enemies are pretty much have nothing to do with the difficulty of the running gun. You just get past them. That's it. Chump change, on the other hand, this is a little bit more complicated because they're enemies that don't really impact the run and gun, but you still have to at least know that they exist and plan accordingly, even though it's not really planning that much. Where on the other hand, they exist, these enemies that do exist in this tier list, they do pose a threat, if not, properly taken care of or planned around, but nonetheless, you really can get past them, especially if you're not P ranking a run and gun. You can get past them by just shooting or by being patient. It's really not that hard. But then you get to this tier. I'm not going to say these tiers out loud. I think you can read them. You can see them. This is pretty self-explanatory too. There's not many enemies in this game that are really, really, truly hard, but these enemies in particular just give me the ick. That's the only word I can find to say about this. They just give me the ick. Please just stop being around. That's the only words that come through my mind when I see these enemies. And last but not least, the last and final top tier. Do I even need to say more? Do I? I don't think I do. So without further ado, I'm not going to be doing any of these enemies in a particular order. I'm just going to do it by feel. I'm just going to look at an enemy and put them where I think and then try to explain them. And then maybe after I go through all the enemies, I'll try to line them up on the tier list where I think it's most accurate. But, who knows? It might change, the next day or from a week from now. It kind of depends on your skill as a player, honestly, where they are in particular. But I'll just be putting these enemies in on a tier, try to explain them, and we move on, right? So should we start with first? Let's get something really easy out of the way. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that these quite literally should not exist. They pretty much do absolutely nothing in Funhouse Frazzle. They practically have no purpose other than to punish people that are really bad at the running gun. That being people that are way too slow at getting through them. Assuming you're playing at a nominal level, these practically do not exist to you. I have basically never had to take these things into account unless I've purposely been playing bad or I acknowledge that I am playing bad, and that's my fault. So I can't, these might as well not exist. Simple as that. Next enemy. Let's go for, I might as well put this somewhere as well. This is not really an enemy, but it does kind of count. I'm going to put this, I think, in chump change. Look, the reason I say this is because, again, you don't really consider them an enemy, the game does, but they're not really an enemy. But if you don't hit these correctly, or if you, for example, if you dash and then parry, most of the time you won't have enough clearance to get to the next platform without taking a hit, falling into the water and taking a hit. You got to be a little bit smart when you're actually interacting with these little buoys. You don't really need to plan around them, but you do need to plan for them, if that makes any sense. So yeah, they're not really an enemy, but if you don't do them correctly, you will take an unnecessary hit. So I might as well put them in chump change. This guy, on the other hand, yeah, he's chump change, man. I'm sorry. You can just run throughout the entire run and gun of Funfair Fever, and you pretty much have no problem whatsoever. There's only one issue if you don't have Smoke Bomb, and that's like near the end, near that one guy that shoots the ducks in the air. If you jump and dash during that section, like where you hit before you hit the bell, you can get hit, and if you play stupid enough, you could get hit, but that's your own fault. frankly, and you don't really have to plan around them, but you do have to make sure that you don't do stupid enough things to take a damage from them. So I think it's fair enough to put them in chump change. Not much else to say. Let's get another easy one out of the way. Let's get this guy here. He might as well not exist. I mean, you kind of need them to exist because you need to literally use them as platforms during treetop trouble in order to get to the end. But as an actual threat, as long just play the game. I mean, seriously, just go fast. Like not even fast. You just play at a decent pace when you're going through this section. Just jump, 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 and that's pretty much the pace you need to go through. And that's it. They can definitely be a problem, which is why if I had to order them right now, I would put this probably at the highest point of might as well not exist. And they can, be a little bit troublesome if if you mess up a little bit, but otherwise they're not an actual problem. If you've gone through the run and gun enough, you don't need to worry about these whatsoever. Let's get some hard ones out of the way. I think, okay. Now, the terror of my nightmares is this man right here. I might even put him here. That's how much I hate these guys. But I think it's fair enough that I want them to get the hell out of my way. They are nothing but problems in Perilous Piers. I swear, every single time I try to do something in this run and gun, they always get in the way. And it doesn't even matter that they're only there for like the first half of the run and gun. It's just the fact that like I genuinely have to make sure I play at a very specific pace or a very specific way, or else you will take a damage, even if you have smoke bomb. Sometimes you get unlucky, and even if you have smoke bomb, you'll still dash into them. I absolutely freaking despise these flying fish. I cannot stand them. I might even put them here near the end, but I think this at the very least is a very apt description of what I think about these flying fish. Just, oh my god, I hate them. And let's get another one I hate out of the way. I think I think the hot dog man might need to perish. I'm sorry. I cannot fathom getting past this consistently. I don't know why it's so hard, and yeah, you could just take a hit to get through it, or you can just destroy it. But in terms of like, as someone that P ranks the game, so this is clearly biased by the way, as someone that P ranks this game, like no matter what, I cannot stand going against this guy because as soon as you do one mess up during Funfair Fever, you are literally left up to the freaking luck of the gods to be able to get past this man without having trouble. Considering you don't get past the previous section without getting a hit, let's do a double whammy here. Let's also put this guy, I think I might put them here for, I'm gonna put them here for now, because both of these in combination are why I hate them, is why I hate this guy. Because you have to get through this section, which is not hard, but man, it just causes so many problems when you're trying to get through it fast and efficiently. Oh, I mean, no, oh yeah, not to mention with the hot dog man, you have to deal with the condiments. Yeah, he's in Parish. Yeah, he's in Parish. You have to deal with those condiments. That's why this sucks. This combo here is like the freaking classic duo, like a Fortnite duo over here. Like they're just demons. I absolutely hate going against these guys at the very end of Funfair Fever. I either get past them really easily or I just suffer. I think this might be ranking it a little bit too high. They're not that bad, especially if you have a smoke bomb. But man, I have to accentuate how much I hate this guy in tandem with this man. I might move him down here. Honestly, I'll move him later if I change my mind. Let's pick another random one. Eeny, meeny, miny. Let's go for this one. This guy, I don't like these guys. I really don't. I don't think they deserve to be here, but they definitely are something you have to plan for, or you have to plan around, because you're going through that one section, the 25% point, I guess, of Perilous Piers. If you don't make sure that you are dashing or moving at the correct pace, you will hit these guys extremely easily. It's not even funny how often you will get hit by these guys if you're not already getting hit by these fish. They definitely exist, and they are definitely something you have to actually take into account, but they're not such a hindrance that you can't get by them reasonably well. Pretty simple. They exist. I might as well go for these guys. I think these guys are chump change. They're not really that hard. If you make a stupid mistake, they can get in the way. I don't think they don't exist because you definitely have to play at a slower pace, and you have to accommodate for them in some ways during treetop trouble. But they're not like an actual hard enemy. I just want, like, they're chump change. They exist. They're there, but they're not an actual problem. They just ensure that you're playing the level at a like a smart level rather than just like pressing one button and that's it. You know, it's jump dash, jump dash, jump dash. Like you can generally jump dash through the level, but these guys are the reason you can't just mindlessly do it. So yeah, I think that's fair enough. Okay, this man, I gotta say, I'm sorry guys, he might as well not exist. I don't know if some people genuinely have a problem with this lobster here, but let me tell you, he is probably one of the easiest enemies to get past in the game. I can't express how little I've had trouble with this guy, even since I've begun playing the game back in 2017. I have never had a problem with this guy. Maybe, well, obviously near the beginning when I didn't exactly know what to do, but even when I didn't know what to do, like you can just kind of jump over back and forth over him if you need to avoid him and avoid the lightning thing that he shoots at you. And you can also destroy him too with your weapons. So he's really not a problem at all. And if you know how to just play his section fast, you pretty much never have to take him into account other than originally jumping and dashing over him. Why would I even need to worry about this man? He's not chump change. He might as well not exist. Literally. Let's get one stupid one out of the way. If you couldn't tell, this is the chains. These are like the little things that you stand on during Rugged Ridge. I'm gonna probably put them in might as well not exist because they don't really affect your running gun that much. As long as you're jumping constantly, they really aren't an effect. You could argue that they are in chump change, but I want to just make, I feel like putting it here makes a statement where it's like they really are not an actual issue. Chump change implies that they have some problem with them. They really don't. They really don't. They're just there. They're just something that you have to use to get past the level, and that's it, just for the beginning section. Not unlike these guys, which can definitely be a problem. But I would have to say these pyro heads are not that hard. I think I'd have to put them in chump change. I think I'd have to put them in chump change because, yeah, they do certainly exist, and especially if you play during the last part of Rugged Ridge, they can be a problem. But not enough of a problem where I think that they need to be dealt with in a very particular way. All you really need to do, just put simply, let me stop yapping. You just need to make sure they know that they exist, where they exist, and then that's pretty much it. If you bring Smoke Bomb, you've pretty much countered half the problems with this enemy. You don't really need to deal with them at the beginning of the level. You can kind of just dash over or under most of them. I don't think they're enough of a problem for me to put them here. That's all I can say about that. Since I brought them up, I might as well put these guys up here, right? I think they're also chump change, but I definitely would. I don't think these guys. I actually don't think these guys are harder than the pyro heads. I think they have more of a threat towards you, but all you do is jump. Like you really all you do is jump. I've had more problems with these guys than I have with these guys. The only time I have issues with these guys is when I'm genuinely playing bad. This genuinely screws me over sometimes. Like genuinely screws me over during whether it's during the Cyclops part or like just during the regular first part of the run and gun. Sometimes I just kind of mess up. These guys, when I mess up on these guys, I'm playing bad. Like I am genuinely playing bad. These guys can catch me by surprise at least. I'm gonna have to say they're both probably equal, if not like maybe like this or like this. You know, it doesn't really matter, does it? I think for just for argument's sake, let's just do this for now because I do think you have to plan more around these guys than the pyro heads. But I have definitely had more stupid and like shocking deaths and hits with this rather than this. Let's move on to a harder enemy. Is it really time to get past these guys? Is it really? Do we really need to do this? I think it's time to do this. I think it's time to rank these guys. I think if you guys have watched my live streams, but I think these are the most annoying enemy in the entire game. Not because they are hard per se, but because the RNG along with them is just unbearable to deal with sometimes. What do I mean by that? During Forest Follies, like these enemies can just stack up on you at completely random moments. Sometimes you'll have a completely fine time, they'll never get in the way, and some other times they will literally stack up on you like they're like guerrilla warfare tactics, and they want to just smother you with petals. It's honestly really really annoying when I actually have to do this level, let alone P rank the level. Just doing the level normally can be annoying, even if you have to shoot them, because you have to like take into account when they're jumping. Sometimes you have to shoot them while in the air, or sometimes they'll spawn on the other side of the jump during the when you get before you get to the acorn machine. It's a lot of work sometimes, and I don't know if I'll put them here. I think that's a little bit overrating them. I think it's definitely safe to say that I want them to get the frick out of my way. Okay, that's pretty safe to say. Now, on the other hand, let's go with another enemy on the same level. I think the mushrooms. Look, I used to have a little bit more issue with the mushrooms than I'd like to admit, but I think from an objective standpoint, if I'm trying to be objective as possible here, I think they're chump change. You could say they exist, but nah, like they can give you some issues sometimes, but they're really not that big of an issue for me to genuinely be advocating for their difficulty like that. Like, sometimes they're annoying, sometimes they screw you over, sometimes they don't. So let's do a double ranking here. I think both of them are right here. Where they are, it's kind of the same situation with these two. It's where both these can be very annoying for very different reasons. For some reason, when I'm doing a P rank with on this level, this guy in particular will always shoot a certain like projectile at a very specific moment when I'm trying to get through it. So I gotta say this guy is more annoying right for now. But I think equally they're both chump change. You don't really have to plan around them. You just gotta make sure you know they exist and then act accordingly. This guy could deserve to be in They Exist, but I think for now, I don't think they're hard enough to justify me putting them there, although they have a reason to be there. I think I'll put them here for now, though. What should we do next? I think we should do the balloons next. To be fair, they're a part of a run and gun for a very short amount of time, but that doesn't mean I still don't think they're annoying as hell. I think maybe They Exist is a little bit too high. I think it might be a little too high. But I wanna make a statement here where if you don't genuinely plan around them being around for that first part of Funfair Fever, you might genuinely have a problem. I gotta say it, you might just genuinely have a problem, and if you don't do it correctly, especially if you don't have Smoke Bomb, by the way. If you don't have Smoke Bomb, then this is definitely an annoying enemy. Kinda play a little serious, make sure you're dashing under or over them, and make sure you're not jumping into them right when they cross the wall, you know? This might be too high of a ranking, to be honest, but I'm gonna put them here for now, and I might change it later. What next? Might as well stick with the same level. These guys, the only reason they exist is just to make the section that they exist in harder. The only reason the section is actually hard, or the section that they exist in is actually hard, is because they exist. So I almost want to put them here, but as an actual solo enemy, or even just as an enemy in general, even in conjunction with the cannon stuff, I'll do the cannons too while I'm at it. I think they both definitely exist in tandem, but I honestly don't think they're enough of a problem for me to actually put them there. Because the cannons, yeah, like, they really can screw you over if you're not prepared to deal with them, but these guys, you're just dashing through them, man. Like, if you use Smoke Bomb, you dash through them. If you're not using Smoke Bomb, you shoot them. You shoot, like, 4 of them, and then you just go through the top part. And then that's when you have to plan around for the cannon, because you have to make sure the cannon doesn't hit the top platform or hit you in the process while you're falling down to another platform. This guy, you can just kind of bypass completely if you have a charm. Like, so they're definitely chump change, but they definitely, but when they're both together, they might be a little more annoying. This guy on his own, and even together, I would say he's still chump change. This guy alone and together is definitely a They Exist sort of enemy. You have to make sure you know what you're doing, and you have to make sure you do it wisely, or you will get hit for a stupid reason. So, next, let's go with the star cannons. Look, I don't really like the star cannons because they always slow me down or they always screw me over in some way during Funhouse Frazzle. You know what? No, I think they do exist. I was gonna make an argument for why they don't exist. That's a fun thing I'm saying. I was gonna have a funny argument to why they're in chump change, but I think they're in the they exist category. I just can't help but really despise these guys when you're going through that section of the level, because it completely can like ruin your run if you don't take care of these in the correct manner. Because these guys, oh my god, these freaking guys, they spawn out of nowhere. I might put them here. I might genuinely put them here, but I think for now, I'm gonna put them here because I don't think they're enough of a problem, because it's more of my impatience. This is my bias coming out here. My bias is definitely showing with this guy because I want to put him here. But I think objectively, they exist and you can absolutely deal with them if you're patient enough. And I am not patient enough to deal with these people. I want to just get through the section of the running gun, and when you're having to dodge these cannons and these guys at the same time, you usually get hit by one or the other. Like, if you're dodging the rocket, you get hit by the star cannon. If you're dodging the star cannon, you'll accidentally dodge or switch to the ceiling and hit one of the rockets. It's one or the other. I really do not like going against this combo here. On their own, I still think they'd be in this tier, or like they could be here, but I'm gonna put them here. I think this is a safe duo placement, since we're doing a lot of duo placements here. I think this is a safe placement for these two enemies. Now, let's do another running gun. Let's get another running gun out of the way. The Dragonfly might as well not exist. If you know anything about speedrunning these running guns, you'd know why. You basically never have to fight the Dragonfly because you can just completely skip it. If you could just jump and dash over, and that's GG. It's that simple. There's no reason for you not to do that every single time you always play Treetop Trouble. So I'm gonna just have to put them in. They might as well not exist. This might be the easiest enemy in the entire game, because of that one simple fact. There is no reason to ever fight the dragonfly in any context. Let's do another one of Treetop Trouble. I think the logs, honestly, this might be overrating them, but I think they're here. I really do think they get in the way of you getting through Treetop Trouble in a timely manner. You have to make sure you plan for these logs, or else you will just run into a Spiky Bulb for like no reason. I think we should do another duo one here, or these like little guys right here. Yeah, these guys make this section of the run and gun much harder. I think I might even put them here because you really want these to get the hell out of the way. Like, you're trying to get, like, passing these is one thing, okay? Just getting past these is one thing. It's not that hard. You could put them in chum change if that was the case. But we all know for a fact that when you go through the top of the tree, or when you're going through the tree, you have to deal with not just this, but also this. And having to deal with both of these while dodging this, like whenever it would just randomly shoot, it would just randomly shoot at one moment, and right when you're gonna like jump to another platform or jump to another level, they'll shoot at you and hit you. You know, always. And then you have to deal with this on top of that because you're trying to dodge this and this. Yeah, screw this, man. Yeah, screw this guy. He's gonna be here. He always gets in the way of me in the live streams if you ever guys watch them, because man, oh man, I can't express to you how many times I've gotten hit by these guys during a run and gun. Even if I'm not doing pacifist, these guys get in the way. So I definitely think that these guys deserve to be in the get out of my way tier, and these guys kind of help them edge them in to this tier. While these guys will still stay here, they're not that much of a trouble on their own, but since you're always going against both of them at the same time, I gotta say they're definitely a bit harder than you might think. These guys really are not that bad. I gotta be honest. They're not that bad. However, I think that once you're going through the second to last section of Rugged Ridge, they can really be a problem if you're not being careful. Now, I'm not saying that they're super hard. I'm just saying that if you're not making sure to deal with them, you're gonna have a problem. They're gonna get in your way. You're gonna have to constantly like stay in the same section over and over again, and it's also RNG based. So sometimes they're easier, sometimes they're harder. This might be a little bit too high. I'm not gonna lie. It's either low this tier or high this tier. It's one of these. I think just for now, I'm gonna put them here. That might be overrating it, but I think the point still stands that if you're not actively planning to deal with these guys, then you're gonna cause more problems than you might envision them causing. Let's go and might as well do this one too. Let's do the lions. The lions, I would say, are right behind this for that reason as well. There are something that you genuinely have to plan for and act accordingly because, you know, during the one section with the weight guys here, I don't know what you'd call this, the scale guys, scale things. I don't know. You have to like constantly jump over and over again. You know, you have to make sure you do like a really good jump and dash over. Assuming you're doing a P rank, by the way. I'm sorry. A good amount of these is like assuming you're doing a P rank, because that's kind of how I want to balance a tier list, like half regular, half P rank. But I'm kind of taking P rank more into account because that's when the difficulty of the enemies actually shine. But with that said, the mountain lions, they can be a little bit tough to deal with when you're dealing with these little, I forget, these, oh God, what are the centaurs? No, whatever these guys are called, I forget. When you're dealing with these both together, yeah, they can be kind of annoying, but I'd say that they're definitely low this tier or high this tier. Like maybe, I would say definitely above these robot monkeys. That's what they're called. But I'm gonna put them here just for the sake of it, just so they're together. Just, you know, their little buds sticking together. Tubas, these guys. Look, I want to say they might as well not exist, but you do actually have to plan for them. But as long as you plan for them, they're easy. So I'm definitely going to put them in chump change. Chump change makes the most sense because although they're not a big problem, they are still technically a problem. You got to make sure you're doing your dashes right, you're doing your jumps right. And if you're not playing at like a good pace, it could screw you over. It genuinely could. I haven't played that bad on Funhouse Frazzle in quite a long time. I know for sure I definitely got hit by these on accident when I don't do my jumps and my dashes correctly. So I would say they're chump change. They're not nearly easy enough to be not existing, but they're not hard enough for them to be super high on this list either. So I'm gonna put them probably around here. I don't know. I'll probably put them like around here, maybe something around here. I'll do the changes at the end of the tier list. Look, the duck machine is really not that bad. I can't even lie. I think it's the same boat as the tuba. It's only for one section of the run and gun. It's a very small section, and Smoke Bomb completely counters it. so why do I care? But otherwise, yeah, it can be kind of annoying to go against. I don't really want to, take my time, shoot them, move out of the way of the ducks in the air. Like, I don't really want to do that. But if you just smoke dash under them, they're pretty easy. I'm actually kind of convinced to put them in might as well not exist, because my argument would be they're either low this tier or high this tier, because you definitely have to plan around it. Like, you have to have smoke bomb to make this easy, but even when you're not using smoke bomb, you could reasonably get by it fast, or not even fast. You can reasonably get by it without any trouble. It's more of just the time it takes to do it is kind of the issue. So yeah. I'll put them here for now. Next enemy. Let's go for these guys. We're kind of on a roll with Funfair Fever anyways, so we might as well, right? These are the guys that like run on the ball during Funfair Fevers. Some of them, the arts are cut off. I hope you can see. You can at least imply what they are. These guys are like probably at most high this tier. And I say that because they're not something you really need to worry about, but if you don't take them into account when you're playing the running gun, you could run into issues. If you don't have a smoke bomb, you could accidentally run into them, especially during the last section that they appear. Even when you do have smoke bomb, you gotta make sure that you don't dash into them. So I gotta say that they're definitely in this tier somewhere. I don't know, maybe more middle of the pack than high. Again, the ranking really doesn't matter. All the enemies are so close in difficulty that it's kind of hard to really accurately rank them without something seeming off, frankly. So we'll see how it goes. Let's go. Cyclops, at first I was thinking Cyclops would be in They Exist, and I might still go with that. I might still go with this, but I might have to go with a hot take here and say that they're not hard at all. The Cyclops is really not that hard. Yeah, the section is like the one section that you can definitely get screwed over in combination with the pyro heads, but it's not like you really need to be going super fast to get through this section. You can really take your time, and as long as you're taking your time, neither of these are really a big issue. I can't see them being on the same level of difficulty as this guy, as this guy, as this guy, and especially, all these guys together, like this guy and this guy and this guy, like, all together. I just can't see that, man. I'm gonna have to put them here. Maybe I would say higher up, maybe like right here. But otherwise, no, I think they're not that hard. I really don't. This one is a weird one to rank because I don't think the process of doing this is really that hard at all. But I can't lie, it gets in the way. It does get in the way. It can really screw you over sometimes. I mean, it's definitely screwed me sometimes. It's the one section of Perilous Piers that can really give you problems. Not because this guy. Oh, we might as well do this now. It's because of these guys. It's because, okay, this is going up high and get out of my way tier. These are oh my God. If you thought these guys were bad, they laugh and spit in their face. I cannot stand going against these guys when I'm going against this as well. I just cannot. It's really annoying. Oh yeah, I should probably take into account, because I don't have it on this tier list for some reason. I don't think they're considered like a separate enemy, but I'm going to consider this as also with that other, like that, what's it called? That clam or whatever that jumps out of the water on the left side and like shoots those balls, across the screen. I'm going to count that in tandem with this. And because of that, I'm going to say they exist. It's definitely something you have to worry about. It's something you have to take into account, and it's something that you need to be planning for and around. Because if you're not parrying this correctly, or if you're not like dodging correctly, these people, oh my God, these shrimp, oh my God, I can't say enough bad things about these guys. They might deserve to be here, honestly. But I think I'm going to put them here for now, because really this description is very on the nose for what I think about this enemy. Just please get the hell out of my way. I don't want to deal with you. Next, let's do the dragon. He's really not that hard. I gotta say, not that hard. Though you do have to plan for it, because if you're not going to, then you're gonna screw yourself over. I have definitely screwed myself over not taking this seriously before. So I'm gonna try giving it the respect it deserves and put it in They Exist. But where I would put it in They Exist, I don't know. How about we do another double ranking? Because really this does rely on the difficulty of this. Because these little, what do you call, like clay golems? I don't know what you would call them. If you don't take this section seriously, it can get you off guard. It can really catch you off guard, and it can really screw you over at a point where you need like max health, or you want to have, like, you want to do a damage boost at the end so you can, well, like take a hit, then dash, 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 dash to the end. Point being, both these together can be quite a big problem. I'd say they're probably like here. I'd say. I think this duo. Actually, no, I don't think so. I think this duo of the logs and the dragonflies is harder than the golems and the dragon. I think the golems would be harder than the dragon in this case. Maybe I'll change my mind later. These spawn more often, and you kind of have to worry about these more than this. Like, this is just an extra level of difficulty. This is the main difficulty, if you ask me. So I'm going to leave them here and put them in that order for now. Acorns. Look, the acorns by themselves... Okay, the acorns by themselves, they exist. Yes, they exist. They're very annoying. You absolutely, without a doubt, have to take them into account and plan around. But it's only because I freaking hate this. I'm putting this in Parish, and no one's going to convince me otherwise. I mean, if you guys saw my last live stream, sometimes I cannot get past this. And it's not because, again, we have to make sure we're taking account P ranks, okay? That's the main thing, because that's where, again, I'll say it one more time, that's where the main difficulty comes from with these enemies. It's assuming you're not just annihilating them on the spot. If you were shooting your run and gun the entire time, frankly, there probably wouldn't be a reason to make a tier list. Like, really, it wouldn't be that bad. But if I'm trying to take everything into account and actually try to, like, and make sure something is known as being like a genuine problem to deal with, I think this is a genuine problem to deal with, because this is also considering the fact that it's spawning acorns. This is just taking into account the acorn falling on you itself. This is taking into account that it's spawning on you, and that you have to get past it too if you're doing P rank without killing it. Which means you have to do a glitch. You either have to do a glitch, you have to get there's multiple ways to get past it, which is why maybe it could be here. But the main way is you do a glitch, use invincibility super, or you find some other lucky way, like a butterfly or like a mushroom, or like a mushroom cloud, I really do not like going against this. This is a genuine problem. Especially when you're P ranking, this is like the first thing you have to take into account. Like, no other enemy who really does that in this game. By simply changing the way you play, you completely have to also change the way you think about the run and gun. And that's simply because of this enemy. And, I might be overrating it. I'm definitely biased here. Not gonna lie, definitely biased. But I'm just gonna keep it here because it's my tier list. So I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. So just for fun, I'm gonna put it here. I don't like this enemy. It should perish. Now, crab. The crab is not that bad. Like, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I think if I had to rank it, it's probably honestly, it's probably higher than most of these enemies so far. I think it's like here. Yeah, I think it would be like around here. It's definitely harder than the balloons, but like I think both these again together, these urchins and the crab, can really be an annoying combo. But I got to say, this is probably harder than the urchin, because this is also taking into account the fish too. When you have to go from crab to crab, yeah, these fish can get in the damn way, and I hate that. So I gotta take that into account. These enemies are not that hard on their own, but with what they're associated with as well, yeah, I might as well put them here. Because why not? They exist. They're not a big problem. You just got to make sure you know how to deal with them, or like deal with it accordingly if like this is in the way or this is in the way. But on their own, not that hard. With other things, yeah, they exist. You know what? Something else that does exist but shouldn't? The duck. Yeah, this might also be genuinely considered one of the easiest enemies in the game. I might even put it like this. If you've seen my run and gun like P rank guide, or if you've seen my stream, you know that you would never have to deal with this. Like, you literally never. It just takes a bit more skill to get past. This is just jumping and dashing. This actually takes a little bit of skill. You have to dash 5 times, then parry the card to avoid the duck, dash at a very specific time to avoid the cars on the ceiling, and then you just dash, 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 dash to the end. And if somehow, some way you're too slow to do that, you can either A, switch sides again and avoid the duck altogether, and all the ducklings or whatever that are behind it, but you can also just duck under it and avoid it that way too, and then just shoot the other ducks if you're doing not a P rank. There's many ways to avoid this, and you can get past it pretty easily to the same way that you can avoid this enemy. So yeah, nothing much else to be said. We might as well bring the cars in here as well. I say that they might as well not exist too for the exact same reason. I'm not even gonna go further on it. Like it's just the same exact reason. They're both basically both working together here. I'd probably say these are harder because these are the enemy that you specifically have to perfectly time your dash for once or twice, depending on how you want to P rank Funhouse Frazzle, but point still stands. It's easy. You might as well not exist if you do it correctly. Maybe you could argue here, but I think I'm making a statement by putting it here. And we might as well finish out that run and gun while we're at it. Let's do this. These guys really might as well not exist either. This is why I think Funhouse Frazzle is like the second easiest level in the entire game, because all these enemies are really, really easy to deal with. By deal with, I mean just run away from. I have never really had to worry about these guys other than like a few handful of occasions. That's a very few handful, like maybe 3. And I don't even know if that's considered a handful. Okay. These guys I've never really had to prepare for. You just dash, you just play the game, you play that section of the Funhouse Frazzle how you want, and 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a problem. Especially because the hitbox on the Jack in the Box is super weird. Like even when it's like jumps out, like up for example, you can usually just dash right through its head. I don't know why. Like the hat area, it's weird. Its hitbox is like really, really weird. I don't know why. I've never had a problem with these. I don't know why I would need to put them in chump change, to be completely honest. And speaking on honesty, I gotta say, this is the reason why Funhouse Frazzle is not easy. Yeah, you might be surprised by this. The wall itself is not like super duper hard. So like maybe me putting it this high is a bit too high even for me. But man, P ranking this can be so annoying sometimes because you gotta also, the mouth is not only just the mouth that opens, but it's the cars too. And if you don't want to take the cars into account because it's right here, if you want to take the cars into account, it's also the kissing lips that come out from the wall. I don't know why those have screwed me over more times than I can count. I don't know why they screw me over so much. They're not so annoying where I think they should get the hell out of my way, even though they should. But man, I have had a lot of troubles on this, to the same level I've had with the rockets and the star cannons and the urchins as well. Like, I've had a lot of problems with this. I think this being the high point of they exist makes sense, even though there are easy ways to get past it, but it's not always so simple, so I'm gonna put it there. Now, I didn't leave too many heavy hitters for last, so I'm gonna probably speedrun through these last few. This guy might as well not exist. You do have to stop for him because, literally if you don't, then you will get hit. But you can smoke bomb through like the majority of these woodpeckers and you'll be fine. You do have to take them into account to some extent, but not enough where I think they're chump change. I think high of might as well not exist makes sense because the only reason they are even a problem, quote unquote, is because they literally slow down your gameplay. That's it. That's the only reason they are even a problem. If you have smoke bomb, you can kind of avoid this pretty much the entire time, other than like maybe 1 or 2 of the woodpeckers, just because of the bouncing beetles right here. But they're not hard enough for me to put them in chump change. I think I'm going to put them here. This guy, on the other hand, look, you might think I might rate this like super duper high. And like maybe you would consider this high. I'm gonna put them in they exist. They exist because you do have to play in a particular way to get past them easily, and they are throughout like the majority of Perilous Piers. Like they're literally there since the beginning of Perilous Piers, all the way till the end of the lobster section. That's a long part of the running gun. So I'm gonna probably say they're actually a little high up. Maybe you guys disagree with this. Maybe you think this is too high up, but they're there for a lot of the running gun. You definitely have to take them into account, and they vary in RNG. Like sometimes they shoot high, sometimes they shoot low, and that can definitely affect you and your speed and efficiency of the running gun. So the wall itself is not that big of a deal, but I do have to say they exist because they quite literally do slow down your gameplay. You do have to make sure you play in a particular way against the wall to be able to make it over easily. But there is a simple trick, like you just parry that face over and over again without getting too close, because if you do, you will take a damage. But if you're just far away enough, you can just parry these over and over again, avoid these guys in the process, and that's pretty much it. Like it's not that much harder after, but you do have to know how to do that, A. And B, you also could have problems with the pellets that it shoots out, and sometimes the RNG for this guy can be a bit much. I can't lie. Well, it's more the RNG of this on top of like if this spits out at like a bad time. You know, I might be kind of overcomplicating this. I just think they exist. That's it. And last but not least, I could have saved maybe like one of the other enemies for last, but look, these are an enemy I really don't like, but they're definitely not like they're not this high. I think they exist. I think probably middle. This is probably the most in the middle enemy I could pick because although they're not a big problem during Forest Follies, they can surely get in the way quite often, especially during the end. During the end, if you're playing like too fast, too hastily, if you're playing in a stupid way, they get in the way. But if you're not playing the stupid way, then they're just kind of a nuisance. And since they're still a nuisance, even when you're planning for them correctly, let's just put them in they exist because they exist. They're annoying. They're something to deal with. That's really it. That's all I got to say. So now let me go and I guess since I'm finished, let me go and like rearrange the tier list, see if I might change some placements here or there, and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so I think I rearranged the list into a way that I think makes sense. I did make quite a few changes actually. I made sure to reorder them in the way that just like accurately described what I have actually had the most problem with while playing. That's why I moved the Rocket Guys up here because really, I mean, this description is just way too good. I put way too good of a description for this tier for them not to be here because I really despise these guys. Oh my god, I really hate them. I changed quite a few of the placements here. You might be able to see what I've changed. I don't really remember exactly like where they were, like the enemies I moved were before, but I think like this order is the way that like is in order from what I've had the least problem with into what I've had the most problem with in current times of Cuphead. Like Dragonfly is definitely the easiest. Then like this, you just completely avoid. You know, you avoid basically all of these. Then you get to here where you have to have a smoke. Yeah, you do have to have smoke bomb, but otherwise it's easy. Then it kind of scales from there. You can definitely have problems on these. And then you kind of go up here, the wall you really have to plan for. These guys are just really aggressive, and this I just hate. Like doing this even normally can just take a lot of time. And dealing with the acorns for the entire level, yeah, it's count me out, man. Just count me out. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the tier list. I think this is pretty accurate to what I think makes sense for each enemy of the running guns. But hey, you let me know down in the comments below what you think and if you agree with any of my placements, because hell, many of my placements might be considered wrong for you or whatever. But again, I'd urge you to look at the category the enemy is in rather than the order. The order itself is very subjective, is extremely subjective. It's just what I have had problems with. So with that said, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you watching this video, just having some lighthearted tier list fun on what we hope as a community we can all agree on are some of the easiest and hardest enemies in the game, although to be frank, most of the enemies are not hard, like especially if you're just playing them normally. That's why I took P ranking heavily into account. I'd like to say at this point, like I'd say that I took P rank like 70%, 75% into account, because again, that's where the difficulty actually shines. I mean, if you were genuinely just shooting through every single running gun, none of these enemies are going to be in perished here. Most of these enemies are not even going to be in get out of my way tier. Only some of the enemies would actually deserve to be in the get out of my way tier. That's probably these two. And other than that, that's like nothing else would need to be here. Everything else would just be in chump change, and that'd be the tier list. So hopefully you can agree on a more objective standpoint, like and from a P rank standpoint, where these enemies exist on the tier list. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you all checking out the videos as always. And again, just some lighthearted tier list. Nothing to take seriously. And yeah, I think that's enough of me yapping. I'll see you all in the next video.